Time, and of course, it's cliche that tempus fugit, time flies, and I don't have an awareness of it passing, except sometimes when I'm put something in a microwave and it's ticking down to zero, then I say, oh, I will never have this moment again. That is it. And then I think of, we were always late when I was a kid, because my mother used to say, what are you worried about? When God made time, he made plenty of it. And so consequently, we were always in trouble because of our lackadaisical attitude toward it. And I also remember that people say time heals all wounds. And then I hark back to what Martin Luther King said about time. He said time is neutral. Time does nothing. Time goes on. It's people change things. It's experience change things, not time. Time just goes irrevocably and goes on smoothly like a steel rope and shiny, and you can't stop it. And there it is. Looking at time either there, past or future, it ain't there. It's only now. And it never is, because it doesn't stop. Because by the time you stop talking, you've said something, another 10 seconds has passed, which you cannot retrieve. So it's elusive. Time is something we don't know anything about, what it's about. What does it have to do with me getting wrinkles, or my hair turning white, or walking slower, or anything like that, or your love life slows down? It has nothing to do with that. Time doesn't care what you're doing, because it's in your body and time are independent of each other. I'm heading for 81 in September, and I don't feel that it went any faster at any time. The fact that I can't remember every day of those 81 years doesn't mean that it went very fast. It just didn't. It came and went in its own good time. I do have memories of being happy. I have memories of expectation of things when I was a little boy. I dreamt of coming to America, back to America, because I was born here, but went to Ireland when I was 3.5. I always dreamed of coming back because of the misery and the poverty in Ireland. And that's when time did slow down, and you thought you'd never get anything more to eat, or that you wouldn't ever get warm again. It was a time of imagination as well, when you're a child, that I loved reading, as my brothers did, my brother Frank and the other boys, Mike and Alfie. And whenever we got our hands on something to read, there was a great joy in it. And you didn't want to finish whatever it was you were reading, the book or the magazine or the article. And so you didn't gobble your food either. You ate very slowly so as you could say make it last long. So you wanted that time to not go so fast. When Diana said she would marry me, that really uplifted me. I couldn't believe that she was saying yes. And because Irish people do not mention love. They might say sarcastically, "Oh, he loves soccer or rugby or something of that nature," or he loves horse racing. But you would never mention that you loved another person. They would think you were nuts. And mothers and fathers never told the children they loved them. I never heard my mother and father mention the word love. I never heard any other parents mention love. And you never see the palms of Irish people's hands. You know, body language is very interesting. Mediterranean peoples, Jewish people, Eastern European are very demonstrative. Hey, you know, how are you, and so forth. The Irish, oh yes, how are you, blah, blah. Hands closed up there tight. So, happy time for me was that I learned to say I love you to Diana. I learned to say I love you to my children. And that kind of opening up, it was without embarrassment, being able to say I love you and hug, open up, and that was it. And it has never ceased that every day I tell Diana I love her. Without fail, wherever I am. I hope they would be the first words out of my mouth. So that happiness still goes on, to be able to say I love you. Actually, time would be an abstract thing for the Irish. That's what drove the English mad about Ireland. They could never understand. They were always very slow or lackadaisical about getting things done. And I think the pub, you know, the English all putting pub closing times and all that kind of stuff, and imposing 24 hours, whereas the Irish, well, there's a timelessness about life in Ireland. There was, until the coming of the computer and all that kind of stuff now. You have no perception of time when you're drinking. It's just the body chemistry changes. Or you look at things, you kind of like the shoulders go down, the forehead relaxes. Oh yes, and then you start getting dopey and talking gibberish and rubbish and saying whatever comes into your head. And then you look at a clock when you start drinking, say, at 7 o'clock in the evening, and then you look up at the clock. Jesus, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Where did it go? And you're still babbling away, and 7 or 8 hours have passed. So you don't have a perception of time. I have time for anything I want to do. I always have. One thing that I'm not burdened with is any sense of mortality. I don't think about, I think that I'm going to cease my efforts here on this earth, but I think it's merely, there's a transition. Whatever is in the head will go on, and so I can do whatever I want. And I am not burdened with the formal education because I left school when I was 13. People are always talking to their children here about getting, I think about boxes, the woman goes into a box and has a baby, right? The baby comes out in a box, a room, right? Then they move from that hospital or what have you, home, another box. Then the baby grows into a kindergarten box, sandbox, then into a grade school box, then into a high school box, then into a college box, and then onto the job box. Because if you don't get a good education, you won't get a good job, and then you won't be in a good box, and then you have to go to the box and earn enough money so you can get a good box to be buried in. That's the end of it. So
you come in a box and you go out in one.
Come out in a box, yeah. So we're all boxed. Everything is. They think, them, the ubiquitous they.
So going back to what you said about the box, have you decided on which one?
Box for me?
Yes.
Oh, I think I walk around in circles.
So you can't be boxed in.
You can't be boxed. Yeah, and I never have been. For some reason, I've never been boxed in, and I've done pretty much whatever I wanted. And I'm not boasting, but it was just a lot of it was impulsive stuff. Walking into a theater, becoming an actor just like that, just by accidentally meeting a producer, then meeting somebody who said, "How about opening up a bar?" A guy came to me once. He said, "How about doing a radio show?" Fine. And another guy I ran into, he said, "You'd be good on television." So we did a television show. Then somebody called me up on the radio and said, "How about running for governor?" Sure. The first wife I married, she said, "How about getting married?" And I said, "Yes." I'm a yes man, you see. So all the things were, boom, all over the place. So, like horseshit,